All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to November's edition of Mayor in Chief at your service. Thanks for coming out. We have a really good program for you tonight. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple minutes. But I'd like to introduce the mayors here. We have Marlon with his broken tail. So if he doesn't see himself tonight, that'll be why. Little accident in a restaurant. But I appreciate you coming out. As you know, we do this quarterly. We try and think of different topics. Sometimes it'll be a Vienna historical topic. It might be a stolen auto topic. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to have MPO Juan Vasquez talk a little bit about internet safety, especially when it comes to our younger population. Something we all need to be aware of and all need to be concerned about. And if you're like me, it seems to be moving faster than I'm able to understand it. So it's always good to get up to speed, hear what's going on out there, and how to keep your kids, grandkids, neighbors, just everybody safe. So again, I appreciate you coming this evening. Welcome to also Channel 7. Thanks for coming out. So, and Mayor Linda Colbert.
Well, hi everybody. As you know, tonight is we're focusing on a police issue. So tonight, the officers are going to take it over. But at the end of the evening, like we always do, we open it up to questions or just anything you would like us to talk about that's going on in the town right now. And we always have a lot of exciting things going on. So I will answer any questions afterwards, but I'm going to go ahead and let the chief take it from here.
Sure, thank you. And like the mayor said, also at the end, we open up for ideas. If you have ideas for future presentations, please let us know. We're up for anything, to put anything together. Also, if you have ideas on how we can get the word out more, I know some of you already mentioned using texting. I think we use social media, we use Vienna Voice, we use highlights. Juan uses Facebook, I think. So we're always looking for ways to get it out to a bigger audience, more folks if they want to come. There's refreshments over there, scones, cookies, water. There's also a sign-up sheet over there. If you'd please sign up, that way we can make sure the town clerk puts you on the mailing list so you get direct mailing of any future programs. And with that, I'll introduce Officer Juan Vasquez. He's our community services, crime prevention, all-around officer. If you have a community event, a tour, I'm going to send Juan to you. So he put this presentation together. He's most certainly not the expert on topics like this, but he does a great job of going out and researching it, talking to the FBI, talking to Fairfax County Child Exploitation Unit, Internet Crimes Against Children's Unit, and then that's when Juan puts everything together just in a boiled down format that we can understand. So with that, all yours.
Thank you, Chief. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So as he said, I'm P.O. Vasquez. I do community relations. I've been here 17 years, did 9 in patrol. And I've been doing 8 or 9 now in community services, okay? And like a month or two ago, the chief and I were talking about a good topic to present. This came up. It's something the FBI has been talking about for the last year. There is a public announcement that the FBI put out that I left copies out there for you guys. But we do put that out every week in the Vienna Police highlights. On the back of it, you're going to be seeing that since September of last year when this issue was told to us. And we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth and how to deal with it. Again, this is a topic that could take hours to discuss. We're only going to talk for 25 minutes. So it's a very condensed version. So you have more questions after the fact, you can always email them to me and I can find out for you. We just want to make the public aware and kind of give you some ways to counteract, right? Like how to set up settings on the phones and how to go to the right places to report it and things like that, okay? So navigating the hidden dangers of social media, that's pretty much the topic tonight. There's going to be some information. It's basically, all the kids these days, everyone seems to have a tablet, they have a cell phone, they have a way, of getting internet, getting the apps, and a lot of times the parents are not necessarily aware of what the apps are for. There's so many out there and they all do something different. But the thing they have in common, a lot of these apps, they have a way of texting, they have a way of sending messages. There's a connection from the phone to the outside. And on the other end, it could be someone their same age, it could be someone much older, and the kid would not know because you present whatever picture of a younger person, and that's kind of how that works. So we want to make the parents aware that this is a concern that you have to take into consideration when you hand over the tablet, when you hand over the phone, and you're giving that to the child. It could be a younger child, it could be a teenager, Teenagers are very curious, you know, we all been there, you know, so we all get very curious. So you got to think that way. Back in the day when I was that age, I'm 45 now, cell phones were not a concern. My parents never told me, they always told me don't talk to strangers, but they never said don't talk to people on the phone because it's the same thing. We just teach them not to talk to strangers in person, but not over social media, and it's the exact same thing, right? So again, this is what we used to be told before, not to talk to strangers. We need to do a better job of telling the kids that it's the exact same thing when you do it over your tablet, over your phone. If you don't know who the other person is, just because they say they're the same age as you or go to the same school or anything like that, that's information that's available online. You go on Facebook, people like to put what school they go to. They like to put what places they like to go. They put pictures hanging out with friends at a certain school. They went to the Madison parade. They put it up so they know what school they go to. All these people are doing research before they contact this teen, and they want to appeal to them, right? They want to be, oh, I go to the school you go. I'm like 2 grades from you. That's why we never really met, you know, and they start like conversations and gain their trust, right? This is an example.
One for Rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report
It's a little
abuse
bit
at
different, the visual.
end-violence.org/protect.
It's the exact same thing, right? It's you're letting your kid talk to a stranger. They could be in their bedroom. They could be anywhere in the house, but they're talking to a stranger. And the person's going to try to write things that they sound like a same kid of the same age is saying and things like that. They're not going to talk like an adult. They want to be perceived as a child. And they do this all the time. That's what they do, right? They're predators. So better be careful with that. So we're just going to talk about a few apps. This one, I'm not harping on a specific app. I'm just using some examples. But there's so many apps. We will be here for days. So I'm just going to concentrate on the ones that are more concerning, okay? So Roblox is an app to create games for kids, right? So adults create the games and the kids play them, right? But it also allows the adult to have contact with the kids because they're using the app and there's communication happening between an adult and a child that is not their child, right? Do you think that's appropriate, regardless of the platform? So those apps, you gotta be keeping an eye on those conversations and who the kids are talking to. Other apps that the kids are using is Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok. And basically it's the same thing. They have a way of sending messages. You can take the kids offline. You can, let's stop messaging. Let's use this other app. Let's use Facebook. Let's move to WhatsApp, whatever other app they want the kid to move on that has a phone capability. You can do video. You can do phone calls. You can send pictures. You can send videos. So they want to move them from that. So there's many other apps. There's Tumblr. There's Instagram. They all have the same issue, right? There's communicating with a stranger that's posing as a peer, right? That's always the issue. And if the parents are not on top of this, you know, the police is not going to be policing those apps. You know, it's kind of like up to the parents to keep an eye on that. When we get calls because something went wrong, terribly wrong, right? And we don't want that. So we got to do preventive. It's another example.
Sometimes I use my mom's iPad. That's where I met my friend Shelly. And she invited me to meet her at the park so we can go see her new puppy. She said we'll be back before my mom even knows we're gone.
That's right. Your mom will never know.
I just love puppies. When we get to your house, we can feed your puppy and pet him and snuggle him, right?
Mm-hmm. And I asked my friends Toya and Billy to come too.
Okay, let's go. Remember, I have to be back soon or my mom might get mad.
So does that get a little more real? Because they know what school they're going to, and a lot of times you live pretty close to the school, right? So if we go to the same school and I tell you, let's meet at the park right next to the school down the street. Let me go out of the house and I'll meet you at the park that's like 3 houses down from mine. The kid's gonna go out because they're communicating with someone that's giving them really bad ideas, right? But if you build the trust, that could happen, right? So we gotta be careful in that communication with people that are strangers, right? So TextNow is another app. basically kind of acts like a phone, you know, so it's the same thing. They get the capability of making phone calls, so they can send videos, they can text, they can do anything you could do with a regular phone. So even if you think your kid's using an app, well, it's an app that's capable to act as a phone. So it's the same thing, okay? I'm sorry, Whisper is the one that was before that we didn't discuss. It's another app that the kids are using these days. So if you see this kind of app on the phone, you want to look through it and see who are their friends and what they're talking about, okay? Discord is one for people that are gamers, so people that like to play a lot of online games. That's another issue, because when they're playing games, a lot of times they'll interact with adults in the game. You know, they get the headsets and they're talking back and forth. Well, you have a 12, 13-year-old kid in your house, and he's talking back and forth with a 40, 50-year-old guy, and the guy's using maybe a language he shouldn't be using. Maybe the guy purposely is reaching out to this kid and trying to befriend them. Who knows why, right? So, or what I want to do it for. So you got to keep an eye on that. Meet Me is another app teens are using to meet other teens and socialize, but adults are getting in these apps, creating profiles, and they're trying to contact the children and make it look like they're some kind of peer and they know each other, okay? Kick is another app, very similar. Big O Life is a streaming platform. And some of these apps, it's like you put a request to the teen to create a video for you. So you're like in a friendly way, oh, why don't you do a video of you jumping up and down in the bed? Or why don't you do a video doing this or doing that? And a lot of adults, you know, are asking for those videos for a different reason. You know, and the kids are just doing it because they think it's fun. And then they're creating content and they're grooming them. That's what they're doing, right? Because later they're going to ask for more specific things. WeChat is another app they're using, and WhatsApp. WhatsApp, you can make phone calls, you can send videos, you can send pictures. It's basically, you know, like a regular phone. And they'll tell the kids to get these apps. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but there's secret calculators and other apps where you can hide videos and pictures. So the predators know that the parents might be looking through the phone, but if I tell them, hey, get this app, that basically is a storage app to put pictures that you don't want your parents to find, and they're never going to find it because it looks like a calculator, but if you put a password, it brings up videos and pictures that are now on your phone. So it's like a hiding spot within the phone that the kids have, and then they get a little more, you know, into doing more risky behavior because they're like, well, my mom's not going to see it because I'm going to hide it on the vault, on the phone, and she needs a passcode to see it, right? So they'll tell them this because they're trying to groom them, and they're trying, oh, just get this app, that's what I use, and my parents don't know. Okay, and then they get the app, and then they start putting this stuff in there. So you gotta be very aware which app on the phone does what when you're giving it to an underage person, right? That's your job to kind of keep an eye on what they're doing with the phone if you decided to give that to them, okay? This is a new thing that's happening, sextortion, and that's what what's on the release from the FBI. That's the definition of it, so I'll read it from here. It says, is when someone threatens to share a victim's private or sexually explicit materials, unless the victim meets certain demands, often for money or favors. So once they're able to get the one picture, they start using that to blackmailing them into giving them more. Oh, if you don't send me another picture, I'm going to send this picture to your parents. And guess what? I went to Instagram, and I have all the tags of all the people you know, and I already set them up. All I gotta do is send it, and that picture is gonna go to every single person you know, family, friends, everyone. Same with Facebook. They just get the names, they have who they need to send it to, and they'll send that picture out. So they start threatening you, and they do it with the kids because they're very susceptible to just doing it because they don't want anyone to find out. So they know exactly what they're doing, and a lot of times they're not even here in the US. They could be in another country doing this. All they need is an app and be able to research the person they're trying to, you know, get and go on their Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and learn a lot about them and become their best friends. So there's like a cycle, right? The first part, the offender poses as a peer on social media. That's how they start. Second step, they build the trust with this victim, right? And the third part, the offender is going to request sexually explicit images from the victim. It doesn't happen right away. This could take a while, but once they get to that level, they'll get a picture, and that's when it starts. The offender starts threatening to share the explicit images, and demands are asked. You know, it could be money, it could be more pictures. It's like, I need you to do a video doing this, and I need you to do doing this, otherwise I'm going to release this. And it never ends until it could end badly for the teen, right? Because teens can act and do something that they're going to regret, right? I have a video coming up about that. And they says if demands are met, it doesn't end because now they the offender continues to extort it because they know it worked. So it worked, so give me more money. Go to the CVS, you have 10 minutes to get me $200 in gift cards. If you don't do it, I'm gonna release it. 10 minutes, start it now. And then they'll keep texting, did you do it? I'm ready to send the pictures. And they'll continue harassing the kid until they do it. You know, they either gotta get the money or send the money. And in some countries, you send $200, and US dollar, that's a lot of money there, right? But for here, people might not consider it a lot of money, but some places it is. So imagine, and they want larger amounts sometimes, and the teens can't get it, and they'll just release the pictures. They've done it. So this is an example of a kid in Delaware.
I want to shift for a moment here to a Crime Tracker 10 report. The FBI spent the past 2 weeks exposing the dangerous world of sextortion.
It can get really dark really quickly. It never starts out as send me a nude picture of yourself. No, it's a slow transition.
So this morning, the story of one unsuspecting teenager in Central Ohio who fell victim to a sextortion scam and a catfisher.
On camera.
We always said something was not adding up in our house the morning Braden passed away. At 11:01, some cyberbully friended Braden on Instagram, posing as a high school girl. They messaged back and forth for about 5 minutes. Then all of a sudden, he shared that he wanted Braden to message privately.
You're hearing the voice of Jennifer Marcus. She says it's still too painful to talk on camera about what happened to her son, Braden. But her Facebook post detailing Braden's final 27 minutes of life trying to escape a catfisher has been shared nearly 2,000 times.
These are bad people that are targeting our children and sometimes adults.
For money. Delaware County Sheriff Russ Martin says it's tough to track these catfishers because very few people report it when the crime happens. But many local parents shared their own horror story after reading about Braden. One parent said her son was a target and the catfisher hacked his photos as blackmail. Another parent said her child was never the same again. For Braden Marcus, the catfisher was relentless and sent the 15-year-old spiraling into despair and his own death.
Listen, people make mistakes. Young people make mistakes. We make mistakes on the internet. Anything can be overcome. Anything can be worked through.
So this is some indicators that the teen can be a victim of sextortion. They're over here in the board, so look for those kind of things. It's also on the alert that the FBI put out. Behavior changes you're going to look for. They get depressed, irritable. They're having thoughts of harming themselves and things like that. So keep an eye out for those things. We did put this out again, like I mentioned at the beginning, and the highlights, we put it out every week to let the parents know that this is happening. We'll also put it out on the Voice. We just did it for the September issue of 2024. The FBI has come up with a really interesting way of teaching the kids about internet safety. So if you go to this website, sos.fbi.gov, it's basically a game for the kids to kind of learn, the younger ones, right? It kind of looks like this. You go in there, you put the grade of the child, if you're not comfortable talking to them about it, and let them play this game, right? And it kind of goes based on their grade level of understanding. It's different in the game. And I actually played it in my desk, trying to figure out how it worked. It is pretty interesting, and it teaches a lot of information about what to do in situations, online or things like that maybe we don't want to talk about, but the game does make it in a fun way for the kids to learn, so it doesn't seem like that obvious for the younger ones. There are resources out there. This is another one the FBI gave me, and they said to go ahead and give out this information. So if you go to this website on the top that says missingkids.org, it has presentations for the parents to use to learn about it and to teach it to their children. So it's something you can do at home, right? You download it, you read through it, it has pretty much everything you need. I went through the whole thing. It's long, but it has a lot of good information and resources out there. They also have, in the same website, there's different topics. So if you want to talk to them about cyberbullying, if you want to talk about gaming and what we talked about, people reaching out in Discord and other apps, the live streaming videos, the dangers of doing that, when you're putting the videos out, the online enticement, sexting, extortion, they have all kind of information. This website is full of information, okay? This one is more if you're a parent and you're intimidated by the settings on the phone and you don't know how to set up parental controls, this one is a kind of like a dummy guide to make sure that you could go ahead and put settings on your phone for your kids. So, and it does it based on the brand, right? Apple, Android, and it goes app by app, so it kind of breaks it down for you so you can go and check the settings, okay? It's like the homework for the parents if they're worried about certain apps. And they're adding constantly more content to this, okay? This website is this one over here, internetmatters.org. That's where you can find those settings, okay? And I'm pretty sure we're going to put this whole event online, and the PowerPoint will probably be there, but you can always reach out to me, and I'll give you my information. My card is on the desk over there. You can grab one of my cards. And I can send you the PowerPoint if you want. Does anyone have any questions right now? And if it's something that we need an expert for, if I get the question, I'll find the right person to answer it for you, and I'll get you the answer. If I can't get it right now, I'll send it to you via email. If you grab my business card, send it to me. No questions? Okay, Chief.
Thanks, Juan.
Thank you guys for your attention.
As Juan mentioned, and I know some of you have been here for presentations we've done previously when we start talking about fraud, credit card fraud, scamming online. This has all the same makings of that. And we have Detective Herrera here, Marcos. He could tell you, for us, it's incredibly difficult because by the time we get a phone call when something like this is going on, it has already been going on. You've already sent gift cards. You've already sent pictures. And our first step is to find out what time zone those are going to, because a lot of times they're not even going anywhere in this country. And that makes our job, whether it's, this type of criminal activity, or if it's just straight up, hey, your grandson's in jail, send me some gift cards, which we have had in town. Those are incredibly hard to solve because they go so far and wide with the internet. Used to be, it was a nice, easy little paper trail, phone record. We'd get some phone records, find the people, nice and easy, do some search warrants. Nowadays, that's a whole different ballgame. There's so many of these that we can't even touch. And not just us, no department can, just because it's worldwide. And that's the fear with this. That's why it's important to get the information out. And it's important to keep track of what you're doing online, what your loved ones are doing online. I have 3 kids. They're grown now, but I see the same thing. I'm talking to my daughter, and you're listening to me, or you're on your phone the whole time. And half the time, I don't know what she's doing on her phone. So this is important stuff to keep track of. So appreciate it, Juan. And like Juan said, if you want more information on it, there's a whole lot. I think I scared him into half an hour. He knows he's only got 30 minutes, so he blew by everything. He came in my office today. He's like, "Is it really only 30 minutes?" Like, "Yes, Juan, you got 30 minutes. That's all you get." So, but thank you, Juan.
Of course.
And with that, we'll switch over to the portion where you can ask about anything. You can ask the mayor about the tax rate. You can ask anything you want to.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Before we switch topics, I'm going to go back to the discussion. First of all, thank you.
Here, let me give you this just so.
My kids are 15.
They wanted. It's the camera, guys.
Right.
My kids are 15 and 12. And we're right in the middle of this every single day. One you didn't mention was Send It. I found that on my daughter's phone the other day, and another one I don't like, but at least I could read the messages.
Yes.
Snapchat, I hate and despise.
Because they disappear.
Because it disappears.
But they stay on the servers, though, so we can get them eventually if we needed to for an investigation, but you can't see them because
I
they're
can't
gone.
see it. And all her friends are on, and it's a constant battle. I probably missed it, but do you have the same sort of discussion for families? When I say families, like I could bring my kids in and watch it with them. I can say it at home. It doesn't have, unfortunately, it doesn't have the same effect as you talking that we try.
Oh, we can set it up. Just let me know. I do all kind of presentations for the community, and we use this room. We'll set up half of the room, and then we can have a group come here. So if you have your kids, or if you want to bring maybe their friends too, we can do a bit of group. But if it's just your kids, we can do it too.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
not the individual, but there must be some program where we can expose this stuff to a greater. If we have the parents and the kids in the same room, and hopefully have the kids buy into this. It's a hard sell, and trust me, we push every day at home, and it hasn't been easy for us. We kind of missed I think we missed the initial contract you're supposed to have when you get the phones. We kind of missed that window, and now we're trying to play catch up, and it's not working out well. But thank you for all these tips. I'm going to try that internal. The internal, whatever that was.
Yes.
'Cause I'm having problems as an old man, trying to get the phone stuff in there. But thank you.
No, thank you. And that's really a great idea to do something family oriented.
I like that.
Bring in families,
Thank you.
bring in parents. Juan could certainly put something like that on. We try to do this in the school system. And just in general, it's getting harder and harder to get into the schools because they have so much on their plate every day. All the required classes they have to have, all the required material they have to go over. Back in the day, we could send someone like Juan to a school weekly. But now that's getting harder and harder. And like I said, that's not the school's fault. It's just there's so much they're trying to fit into a school day. They can't just turn an hour block over to off their Vasquez every day. So
Yeah,
certainly.
great idea.
When Juan said, "Are there any questions?" I thought he was just pausing for a moment. I didn't realize he was going to walk off the stage.
Back on.
I wanted to ask you, Juan, if you had any statistics that you could share with us, like, how many kids out of 10 kids are affected by this or fall victim of these scams online?
Well, with the research that I've been doing, at least I could tell you that the numbers are growing like at the 300% rate. Like, I mean, it's growing very quickly from 2021 to 2023. The cases and the tips that they've been getting are amazing. Like, the volume is just growing so quickly. So that's why we need to curb this and make the parents aware. Without the parents, here getting involved, it's going to be pretty hard to get a grip on the situation. But actually, most of those cases the FBI are working with. There's some links on the last page of those of the document that's on the table that has all the places where you will report it to, and they're keeping track of all of this, and that's where the numbers are. But luckily in the town, we have not had anything directly here in the town. So we've been pretty fortunate so far. I was looking through reports and I can't find one that covers that, so that's a good thing for the town. I was trying to get other agencies in here to get their input, So we don't want to be part of that group. We want the parents to be proactive and make sure that they set up those parental controls and they know what's going on. So we're kind of jumping ahead here because we don't want to get in that group,
The other question I was going to ask is along the lines of the other gentleman was, do you teach this to children in school? And actually, Chief just mentioned how hard it is to get into the schools, but that's where the information really needs to get to. And my daughter tells her daughter, to stay off the internet, and she monitors and everything. But I think coming from somebody in a uniform makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that we get invited to do, or I get invited to, are always like show and tells and safety, general safety. So I go a lot of churches, a lot of school invite me to do that. And we talk a lot about not talking to strangers and all the normal things you talk about. But this is a new era and a new situation is happening, and that's why we did the research. And now that I have all this information, because I was tasked with getting all the information, I'll make sure I'm going to incorporate it when I have these conversations. We're going to enhance what we're talking about and just adding this to it, just setting more time, because the school always gives me a limited amount of time to talk to them. So, but I do get around a lot. I'm always at the churches or the schools. Linda always sees me around town somewhere. So you look at my calendar, it's always pretty busy. So, but I do have a hard time sometimes in schools trying to get in and trying for them to find time. Like, I'll ask and they'll be like, we'll get back to you, we'll let you know, and things like that. But they have their own internal policies and how they do things, and it's not that easy to just show up and you let me in. So I gotta wait for them to give me the okay and give me the time window, and then I can go participate. So it's kind of like the system they have in the school. Everything has to be approved. There's all the steps they gotta follow. Here in the town, it's much simpler because we're smaller and we can do things very quickly. But when it's a larger place, there's a process,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I do think it is a really good idea to maybe we can look at putting something together, just a couple-hour event, something like this, but for families, for kids, bring them in. So it's also important that when you're talking these age groups, I think just as important a message of internet safety and be careful where you go and be careful what you do is the message, it's okay. We've all messed up in our lives. We can work through this. When you're in a teenager, something like this goes on, it's the end of the world. It's, oh my God, I'll never recover from this. I'll never get back. It's like, you'll be fine. Let's just work through it. Don't keep it hidden. And I think that's as big a message as stay off the sites or quit hiding the sites. So.
Yeah, when you were younger, when I was younger, I made a mistake. Only 5 people saw it. Now you make a mistake, someone makes a video or someone does something, the whole world gets to see it over and over. You don't outlive it. It just lives in the internet forever. And I think that's what's hard for the kids now. You just can't outlive it. Before, things that happened when I was younger, no one really knows about. I made a mistake, like you were 5, like 5 people saw it. Okay. And then, but when you're like now, it's just, you can't do that. It's out there. It's out there forever. That's why we got to talk to them, make sure they know the danger when you put a video out, when you put something out, when people post it. Once it's out there, you can't get it back. It's like, it's crazy. So I'll make sure I'm going to include this now that I have this. And I'll have a lot of moms that reach out to me to bring groups over here. So this is going to be one of the topics I'm going to suggest. And now the PowerPoint is created. So it's just a matter of having them come in and teach it. We get like a Young Men's Service League, and the Vienna moms come, and all the groups bring their kids over here. So we normally do it in that setting. But this is something I'm going to push for.
Hey, Juan, can you just explain, maybe if the parents get hold of the phone, the kid's phone?
Yes.
How they can check the device for what apps have been loaded and stuff? It's simple for you, but some people might not be able to.
Again, this website, this is the one that I found had the best information, internetmatters.org. They're really good about breaking that down, because I find it intimidating too that there's so many apps and they all have different settings and how do you go. And if you have an Android versus an iPhone, they're very different. I feel like if you have an iPhone, you don't know how to use an Android, and vice versa. When you give an iPhone to an Android user, like, how does this work? So this breaks it down. I was going through all the information. So this is the place where you were going to find out that information, what settings you need to go to and what you need to change on the phone. And honestly, if some of those apps come up, delete the app. You can put restrictions on the phone. Like when they're going to download an app, you need approval, need a passcode, right? You can set the phone that they can't download an app without you putting your passcode in there, and you can control what app goes on the phone, right? So that could be a way of controlling, because once you give them the phone, like he said, if you don't set up rules at the beginning, then they think, oh, this is my property, this is my phone. I think we had a case that a kid called, if I don't remember long ago, and he called the police because the parent took the phone away. And we go there, it's like, they took your phone away, and it's like, see, they stole my property. I was like, didn't your parents buy it? And yes, but they gave it to me, so it's mine now, so they stole my property. The code says, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what the code says. They bought it, they pay for it, it's their phone, they have the ability to, we're not taking your parents to jail. I'm not joking. This is calls that happen in town. So, but once you give the phone, you got to set up those rules with them, right? That this phone is not yours. It's my phone. I am letting you use it, and when you're older and you can afford a phone, then you get your own phone, right? But right now you're using my property, right? I know you love them and everything, but you got to tell them like that so they know this is a privilege. You having this phone is a privilege. But you don't set up the rules, then it gets out of control. Then they take ownership, and then they'll call the police if you take the phone away, for sure.
I know what you mean, Juan. My kids are 30, and it's my phone. I want them to take their phone. Anybody else? Any general town business? What do we have going on, Meg, or anything?
Well, on Monday night, we have a public hearing.
Oh, there we go.
The annex, which is, I'm always, which point that way. Yes, so there's property there, and I think all of you have heard, there's been a lot of talk. The town is proposing an indoor pool and a fitness center, and we're proposing to pay for it with a 1 cent increase on the meals tax. And so we are going to have a public hearing on that. So we invite all of you to come. If you don't want to come, you can email or just tell me tonight how you feel about that. So that's something that's coming up. We also have, of course, the Church Street Stroll, which is very exciting. That is Monday after Thanksgiving, and the Church Street businesses are open. We also have Santa, of course, comes to town on the fire truck, and he and I light the holiday tree. And then there'll be roasted marshmallows and carolers and so on. This is the night that everybody tells me that it feels like we're in a Hallmark movie. And I take that as a compliment. So I think that's wonderful. Those are the big things, I think, coming up. I'm looking at our PIO back there. She's nodding. Okay, good. Anything on your minds tonight?
Are we going to eliminate taxes, property taxes completely?
What's that? Yeah, thank you.
I'm not even going to take the mic to you for that one.
Right. Yeah, thank you, don't. Anyone else? Oh, okay. Well, please have some cookies. Please sign in because we do send out invitations, but we try to advertise many other ways to have people come. The next one, I believe, is in February.
Is it February?
And and I don't know the topic of that yet, so I haven't worked on that yet. But thanks for coming out tonight, and Thanksgiving is around the corner, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone.